All right, what I want to focus on today, guys, is how to add more value when you're talking to sellers over the phone, right? We're getting leads that are coming in from Zillow. Maybe you're getting referrals. Maybe you're meeting somebody at an open house and you're getting somebody on the line who's thinking about selling. And so I want to walk through kind of the framework of how you need to position yourself on these initial calls so that you can move them forward to a listing appointment, right? Because that first call is very, very crucial, right? The way you handle that call, the way you position yourself, the way you lead the call is going to make or break a lot of times whether they want to meet with you for the appointment, right? And kind of what prompted me to do this is because I got a call yesterday. I put a post on social media also about it, is I had a seller reach out to me from out of state, and they found me online. They must have been searching for agents in the area, but they have a house in Hayward, and so they called me directly to talk about selling their house. They're thinking about selling the house. They've owned the house for a long time. It's like a second home / rental with a family member. But she's thinking about selling it. They live out of state, so they're like, we have no use for it. We're retired. We're older. You know, we want to take that money and maybe buy something else out here, or a vacation home or something like that. So there was a certain strategy that I used to have a really good call with this lady and really impress her, because I knew she was going to talk to other agents. And so it got me thinking, like, how do I break that down and show you guys what I did? You know what I mean? Because to me, it already comes natural because I've done so many of these. I've been doing this for years. A lot of what I do is just kind of like just filling the person out and kind of handling the call. But there is a strategy in place, right? And so I want to turn that into a training that you guys can use and you guys can adopt and incorporate when you're into where you're talking to more sellers, right? So you can get more listing appointments and obviously pick up more listings. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So I got a little cheat sheet here that we're going to follow. Feel free to ask questions. And so we'll do a little bit of lesson here, and then we'll do a little bit of role play as well. Okay, so how to add real value on the first call. Positioning yourself to win the listing before the appointment even happens, right? That's the key that we're going to go over. And so the core principle, guys, I'm going to make this a little bit larger. The core principle is, on the first call, you're not trying to impress the client. I think that's the main thing. I think agents get into trouble when they're the ones doing most of the talking on that first initial call, instead of letting the seller talk and actually understanding the seller. And so when this lady called me yesterday, I already knew to get into listening mode and asking certain questions so that this lady would open up and talk. And then from there, I can kind of figure out where it needs to go. And so I want you to think of yourself when you get these calls, right? Because we're getting these leads from Zillow too, you know, or you're getting referrals. Is on that initial call, you should not be talking about yourself a bunch. It should be all about them, and you should be talking about what's important to them, why they're selling. And think of it like when you go to the doctor's office, right? When you go to the doctor's office, the doctor isn't doing a bunch of talking in the beginning. The doctor is asking you questions to figure out why you're there. You know, what's bringing you here? What are your symptoms? How long has it been going on, right? They're asking you all these questions to try to diagnose before they can make the recommendation. And so you're trying to diagnose, right? You're trying to clarify, you're trying to educate, and then you're trying to move this into a direction so that you can, you know, offer the next step, so to say, right? That's the thought process I want you to have when you're talking to these sellers. It's not about telling them how great you are. It's not about telling them about your team, your company, and this is what I do, and this is why you want to work with me and all this stuff. It's more about figuring out what's up with them, right? Sometimes it's easy to get into that mode, right? Sometimes naturally we think, well, I got to tell them about me, right? I got to tell them about my team, my office, and all that stuff. But remember, at the end of the day, guys, a seller, they don't really care about that so much, right? Like the seller cares about, can you help me do what I'm trying to do, right? This is what I'm trying to do. These are my problems. These are my issues. These are my concerns. Can you help me solve the problem? And also, can I trust you with this big asset of mine, right? So it's built off of trust. And so the way you gain someone's trust is you want to have them open up to you and you listen to them, right? That's how you build their trust. So the seller should feel understood and guided and then the appointment will become obvious at that point. All right. So let's stop right there, because I know this is a lot of just kind of thinking from the big picture, right? What stands out to you guys with when I'm talking about this? Feel free to chime in.
Listening.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah. Listening.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Shri,
absolutely.
what were you about to say?
Don't interrupt and start giving them back like your thoughts or feedbacks or anything. Just don't judge anything.
Yeah.
If I would do that, I would do this. No, just don't do anything. Just listen first meeting. Like let absorb everything.
Yeah.
Try to get that appointment. Whatever insights you have, wait till you meet them at their property.
Yeah.
Just absorb everything. That's what I think.
Exactly. You're doing more listening. You're doing more absorbing. You're letting them kind of spill the beans to you, right? And then on the appointment, that's when you can tell them about yourself, right? Because if you get to listen and now their guard is down and now they have a connection with you, then on the appointment, they're going to be open to hearing who you are and what you're all about, right? But when you're trying to just talk about yourself the whole time on that first appointment, they're not going to feel like you understand them, right? It should be you interviewing them instead of them trying to interview you on that first call, right? Rob, David, Luis, can you guys turn your cameras on? I want to make sure where you guys are tuned in, because this is the higher level groups. In our higher level group, we turn our cameras on. Let's go, guys. There we go. Let me know you're alive. Luis, Rob, cameras on. Participation. Okay. I don't know. Hopefully they're okay. Hopefully these guys are okay. Rob, Luis, we're waiting for you to turn your cameras on before we can continue with the meeting. I think he's listening. All right. The value framework, right? So there's a framework and it's called value, VALUE. It's going to stand for something, right? So this is going to be for you to remember going forward, right? Or at least have some of these keys. And so the value framework, guys, a simple structure that allows agent that you can follow on any seller call, right? That's what it is. And so the V, guys, on the value stands for validate and build rapport, right? So immediately in the beginning of that call, your job is to lower their defense and show your professionalism. And so you want to acknowledge how they came in. Hey, thanks for reaching out to me on Zillow. Hey, or thanks for, getting connected to me by this person that referred me, right? Anything like that. You want to confirm some of the basics of the property. Hey, tell me about the property, right? Let me understand, what's going on. And so some examples of how you can position yourself, right? Like, because sometimes clients want to start asking you questions right away. Well, how's the market, or what's this, or what's, how much do you charge, or, stuff like that. So before I give you numbers, I want to understand your situation so I can give you something useful, right? So that's a phrase that you can use to say, before we dive into the details, I would love to understand more about you and your situation so that I can give you something useful. That's going to signal to the client that you are a consultant and you're not just here to spit. It's not a transaction, right? Spit numbers. How much do you charge? This is how much I charge. Do you want to buy? No, we're not doing a transaction. We're doing a consultation, right? We're trying to be more of a consultative on that initial call, right? So that's what the V stands for. So you want to spend a few minutes just kind of understanding who they are. And then you're going to want to peel the onion a little bit more back, and you go into the A part, which is ask high-level discovery questions. So this is where most agents lose the listing, right? Instead of when are you looking to sell, right? Because that's a very surface level. When are you looking to sell? 3 months, done, right? That doesn't get that doesn't get things opening. You want to ask questions like, hey, what's making you want to move at this point? Hey, if everything went perfectly, what would this look like for you? Do you have any sort of ideal timing? You have any concerns, about selling? Have you spoken to any other agents, right? So these are key questions that you can ask that open up a conversation, right? So it's less transactional. It's more about getting them to open up, right? That's what I asked the lady when she called me yesterday. I was like, hey, so you've owned this property for a long time, like over 30 years. I'm curious, what's gotten you to a point now in your life where you think of maybe selling it? And then I just stayed quiet. And she went on and on and on and started telling me all her life story and all these things. And I was just like listening. Yep. Oh, wow. Yeah, totally. Yep. Yep. I just wanted her to talk, right? Because the more that she talked, the more that she was going to feel a sense of connection with me, right? And so by me just asking that question, what's prompting you to think about moving, it opened up like her talking for like 10 minutes straight, right? And then of course I would like, interject a little bit here and there, but the majority of the thing that I was doing was called listening. This is something that therapists do, right? Is they do something called passive listening, right? Because sometimes in our mind as a salesperson, we're trying to like just get to the point, right? Has anybody ever felt that, guys, where like someone's talking on and you're like, just get to the point? Anybody ever feel that? Like when you're trying to like sell, right? You're like in a sales situation and you're trying to hurry up and give them the answer, right? But that's where you lose it, right? If you do that, then they're not going to feel heard and they're going to feel like it's just a transaction, right? So you don't want to just have like that get to the point mentality. You want to open up the conversation so you can go deeper, right? Okay, let me stop right here, right? We're on the V, validate and build rapport. Ask high-level questions. Anybody have any comments or feedback, or have you ever experienced something like this where maybe, hey, I could have went a little bit deeper, or maybe you've used some of these techniques? This is where you unmute and then you participate. Luis, I'm gonna call on you. I know you call a lot of sellers, right? Have you ever had any of these situations where you feel like, man, I could have went a little bit deeper? Or opposite, maybe you did ask some of these questions and you were able to get the client to open up.
I got to do a better job of getting a little bit deeper because I guess when you cold call, you don't talk to as many people, and sometimes when I do reach the actual homeowner, I kind of get happy ears, and I don't dive as deep into where I should, like asking like, why are you moving? What are you gonna do after the move? Are you planning to roll the money over? Are you gonna buy the next property? Stuff like that, or you really do got to get deeper with the questions because you want to find out if there's actually a lead there or not, because you don't want to waste your time and find out that they're really not even serious after all.
Got it. So what I hear you saying is that sometimes when you're making these calls, because you don't talk to a lot of people, when you do get that one, sometimes you're like excited. And so your natural instinct may be to go like, hey, are you still looking to sell? Right?
Correct.
You're more focused on, do you want to sell? It's the sale part of it, right? Instead of, how do I understand you and understand why you even got here?
Correct. I'm kind of just trying to just shoot for the appointment as fast as possible without really realizing, is there even an appointment there?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, great observation. So this is where patience is going to come in, right? This is where patience is going to be key. Remember, like the appointment's over here, but to get to that appointment, you're going to have to go through all these little ups and downs, right? It's hard to just go straight to appointment because that's going to feel too rushed. But if you start going deeper, open up, peel the onion back, let them talk, then naturally you're just getting pulled closer to the appointment on its own, right? That's the analogy that I can make. So yeah, you got to demonstrate patience, right? And when you demonstrate patience, what does that signal to the client? Anybody? What is
That
it?
you're a professional.
Say that one more time.
Maybe that you're just not trying to just get a sale.
Okay. You're not just trying to get a sale. Patrick, what'd you say?
You're just trying to understand them.
You're trying to understand them, right?
It also shows a very mature and professional agent who takes enough time to deeply understand what the client wants and where is it going.
Bingo. All three of those answers, guys, were the answers, right? It shows that you're trying to understand them. It shows that you care most of all, right? And so there's an old saying that no one cares about you until they feel like you care about them, right? There's something called the law of reciprocity. When someone feels something coming from you, then naturally they're going to want to do it back, right? But if you just go straight to appointment and you just feel like another sales guy just trying to close them, they're not going to feel like you care. So then they're not going to care about you to really hear you out, right? So That's where, like Richa said, you're demonstrating that you're a mature professional who really wants to understand them so that they can make the right recommendation, right? And so that is really key. And this is part of maturing as a salesperson, right? If you think about, like, there's some of the best salespeople I know, like, that have been doing real estate for a long time, that do a lot of listings. They're more experienced, they're a little bit older. They don't even take a listing presentation. They go out there and they just have a conversation. That's what they do, right? I know a guy who sells like $5 million, $10 million homes, and his listing presentation is 1 page, and it's more like a strategy, but the whole thing is just conversation. It's just conversation, asking the right questions, getting to know them. When they give you an answer, going 3 steps deeper. Well, why? Well, what made you do that? Well, why'd you get there, right? And naturally, people just gravitate towards this person, and they want this guy to list their house, right? And so that comes with maturity, guys. So your goal under the A, right, is ask high-level discovery questions, is to uncover motivation, timeline, fear, right, and expectations. You are diagnosing before prescribing, right? Imagine if you went to the doctor and you told the doctor, like, man, I've been getting these headaches, and he's like, okay, no problem. Take this medicine for the next 6 weeks and you'll be fine. Well, how would you feel?
What is it?
Right? And I mean, would you feel like the doctor really cared or really tried to figure out what's going on? Or would you feel like they were just trying to get you out of there and throw you some medication, right? And so you want to diagnose properly before you prescribe, right? A good doctor would be like, well, hey, tell me, how long have the headaches been going on? Hey, when do you notice you get these more? Hey, are you getting them more in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, right? Hey, how do you feel when you get those headaches? Where's the headache at? Is it on the side? Is it on the front? Is it on the back, right? When you get these headaches, typically, did you eat? Did you drink water? All right. When they're really trying to diagnose and trying to like troubleshoot everything before they can start prescribing, they can start narrowing down things. That's the same mentality you want to have when you're talking to a seller, right? So you want to diagnose before you prescribe. Not just like, all right, you want to sell? Great. Let's go out there. We're going to market your home. We're going to put it on the market. We're going to, I'm going to charge you a commission and we'll get the sign out in front, right? That's not good. Okay, so next on the value part, right? The L is going to stand for leverage market insight, right? This is where you can start adding some value, not by dumping stats, but by interpreting them, right? So here's an example. So, hey, here's what I'm seeing right now in your neighborhood, right? You can touch briefly on inventory levels. You can touch briefly on days on market, maybe pricing trends, maybe buyer demands, maybe what separates homes that sell fast versus the ones that sit, right? And then you could connect it directly to them, right? So based on what you're telling me about timing, right? Hey, you just told me you'd like to ideally sell in 6 months. That means this is going to be important, right? So this is where your authority is going to be established because you've heard them, you've diagnosed, you asked all the discovery questions, you gave them some insight, and now you're able to start leaning it in certain directions. And now it feels like, wow, this person's actually like giving me a custom type of response, right? Which adds value, right? And that's what I did with this lady. So the lady, the first thing that I asked this lady, right, I'm going back to this call that I took yesterday, is because she's owned the property for so long, I said, hey, have you looked into what your potential tax liability might be, right? Like, have you consulted with your CPA? Or do you even understand like what you might, pay in taxes, if any? And she's like, no, I haven't. She got quiet, right? And I'm like, wow. I'm like, so when did you buy the property? She's owned it for over 35 years. I'm like, how do you claim this property? Is it a primary? Is it a second home? Is it a investment property? She goes, no, well, it's like a second home. I'm like, so you may have some tax liability. And so if I were you, I would consult with the CPA, or I would even talk to one of our planners, our tax strategists, so that you can fully understand what you're getting yourself into, right? And she's like, man, no one's told me that, right? And so because I asked all these questions, now it prompted me to start asking her more questions, and now I'm able to create some value, right? And then I was able like, hey, look, at most real estate agents just want to like make a sale, but I want to make sure I fully understand what's going on, and I want to give you the best advice so you can make the right decision, you know? And so immediately once I did that, like the lady like just opened up. It was more of a connection, more of a trust there, right? I knew I was going to try to get the appointment, but the appointment was going to come later. I needed to establish the value first, right? So that I can make the right recommendations and lead them down the right path, right? And that leads to this next one right here, which is uncovering strategy gap. So that was a strategy gap that she had. She didn't understand that she was gonna have to pay a lot of taxes, right? And because I have some, you know, some decent knowledge on how taxes work, capital gains, stuff like that, 1031 exchange, those different things, I was able to kind of talk about those and give her some basics, right? And then she realized, man, there's more to this than I think. I thought like, hey, let's just see if it's a good time to sell. I wasn't even thinking like, well, how much am I gonna have to pay the IRS, right? So let me ask you this, right? Do you think that was valuable to her, right? To start knowing that? Absolutely, right? And so you want to position yourself as strategic, right? You're uncovering some gaps, right? So, hey, how are you planning to price it? You know, hey, have you talked to anybody about tax strategy, right? Have you thought about prepping the home or maybe doing some inspections up front? Do you plan to buy another home before or after selling it? Or what are you going to do with the money? Which is what I asked this lady, right? I go, hey, so what are you going to do with the money? It's house is paid off. You're going to get all this money. What's going to happen next? Is that money just going to sit in the bank or are you planning to do something else? Right. So what you're doing is you're showing them that there's more complexity than they realized, right? Because when there's more complexity than they realize and you're able to be that person that kind of provides those solutions, that builds authority and that builds respect, right? But if you never talk about any of that stuff because you don't go deep enough, it's just going to be very surface level. Well, what's your commission, right? Well, this other guy says he'll charge less, right? So now you're fighting the wrong game because you didn't even like unpack this thing, right? All right. I know this is a lot, guys. This is supposed meant to be a higher level training, right? So we're getting into like some higher level thinking. What stands out to you guys so far from this? Rob, I'm gonna ask you, bro, because you talk to a lot of sellers, right? Hopefully you're you picked up some nuggets, right? What stands out to you from this?
I think coming more from a place of curiosity in the beginning. Always come from a place of curiosity, and be more childlike when asking questions, and just be if you ask more questions, it would make you look a lot more like you're into the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. What stands out for any of you other guys? Anything that stood out to you? David, let me ask you, bro, because you've been in the game for a while, right? So compared to like what you've done before versus now this strategy we're going over, is there anything that stands out to you?
Just the level of depth of asking questions and actually going into the actual, the whole thing without making it just like a transaction, right? Because I think that's a pitfall that I've had over the years, trying to go into it and trying to get the listing, right? And that doesn't always work out. So yeah, I think this is like definitely next higher level and just getting the questions out, asking more questions for sure.
I think if I could add something too, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think when you come from a place of curiosity as well, guys, what happens is you also get to assess the situation yourself, right? Is that you start to kind of have these ideas about the lead itself where you start to put things together, pieces together. So being a listing agent requires a lot of pieces to come together. And without us asking questions or peeling the onion back, we won't have those pieces to put the puzzle together. So dive into these guys, ask questions, get a little personal on it. But the more personal that you get, remember, we're building something that we might not be knowing that we're doing, but we're actually building rapport at that point, right? So questions will lead to building rapport because it makes them feel that you really care about the situation.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Richa, anything stand out to you?
Yes, the appointment is not about the commission. It's more about presenting the strategies and everything else before we talk about commission.
Exactly, right. Remember, guys, commission, obviously, that's important. That's going to be a factor. Cost and the process and all that will come up naturally once you guys meet, right? So there's no point into trying to get into that over the phone. when you don't fully understand even what the house looks like, all these other things, right? So that's where I think agents can go wrong, was when they start talking about those things too early. Then what they do is, if you say something that they don't agree with, you could immediately disqualify yourself. So I'll give you an example, right? There's a lot of agents who advertise and send flyers to neighborhoods and stuff like that. And there's a lot of agents who are discount brokers who will advertise like a really low commission, right? So these sellers may be getting these flyers all the time, 1%, 2%, whatever, right? And so if they already see that in their neighborhood, and then they ask you what's your commission, and you say something that's higher, well, automatically you don't look like you're as good, right? So rather than even step into that arena and put yourself in that position, I would always say, hey, look, at commission's definitely important. What we do is we do a customized strategy. So once we meet with you, we're going to go over different options once we understand fully what the property needs, and we'll come up with a commission structure that you agree upon. So that's my way of letting them know, hey, I know commission's important, but we're going to strategize about that, and we're going to give you a few different options, and we're going to find something that works for you. So rather than me saying, well, my commission is like 2 or 3%, but they already seen 1% somewhere else, and so automatically I look more expensive, right? Because I haven't had a chance to fully show my value. So that also happens when you start giving them a price of what you think their home could sell for. If you do that over the phone and they think their home is worth more, automatically you disqualify yourself, all right? Because on the phone, you can't really show them the comps, you can't show them photos, you can't really fully show them. You're just throwing numbers, right? So you always want to stay away from throwing like commissions or values over that initial phone call. That'll ruin your chances of getting an appointment.
It's crazy.
Okay, so
it's crazy that you said that, because you are right. Like, if you come from an initial, so you have to remember, like, the initial call, guys, is not to get the listing. The initial call is to get you to the next step, which is to get in front of them, right? Yeah. So let's forget about listing the property. So in the initial call, if you say things, you put yourself in a risk of being combated at that point, because something didn't look exactly what Kika said, right? So if you just direct that first call to just being questions, you never put yourself in a position where your foot gets stuck in your mouth at the end, right? So just come from a point of asking questions and then converting that to like, well, let's see what happens. Let's take the next step. Now that I have the facts, let's take the next step and let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You don't want to fight that battle. That's a hard battle to fight over a phone call, right? Okay, so last one is going to be establishing the next step, right? So if you've done all of that well, now the appointment makes sense, right? Because you heard them out, you displayed value, you asked questions, you educated them, you uncovered some gaps, some things that you're going to help them figure out. And so now it only makes sense for you guys to meet to figure this whole thing out, right? You didn't give them all the answers over the phone. So now there's a reason for them to meet with you, because they want the answers, right? But if you gave them all the answers over the phone, why would they meet with you, right? And so that's something like Rob. I know Rob and I were talking about some of his strategy, and I was coaching Rob. Like, I would not send numbers to the client before I met with them, right? It's okay to send the numbers after, but before you even had a chance to meet with them, and if you send them like, here's what your home could sell for, that can put you in a position where there's no reason for them to meet with you, right? So the order in which you do it is important. Okay, so establishing the next step. Now the appointment makes sense. So you want to position it like this. Hey, Mr. Customer, the next step would be for me to come by, walk the home, give you detailed pricing and a specific strategy for your property, right? Not like, hey, I'd love to come by and show you what I do or present, our listing presentation, anything like that. You want to talk about customized plans, right? Because a customized plan is a bigger, more important, more valuable thing, or a customized strategy specific to your property. When you use those words, that's a bigger, more important, more valuable thing than like, hey, let me just come by and do a listing presentation. You see how those two sound different, right? One of them sounds like, oh, a listing presentation, like I can get that anywhere. The other one, like, hey, I'm going to come by and walk your property and we're going to go over a detailed and strategic plan for your home and your situation, right? It's the same thing, right? But one of them sounds a lot more valuable than the other, right? You're going to go out there, and even if you were just going, even if you said listing presentation, you're going to go out there and give them a customized plan. But because you didn't say it that way, it lowered your value, right? And so you want to make sure you're saying it that way. And so you want to tie it to the value, right? Hey, on the appointment, I'll show you, an analysis of all the comps. We'll go over different pricing strategies. We'll go over a checklist of how to prepare your home. We'll go over different timelines and different options. We'll go over a net sheet estimate so you can see exactly what you walk away with, right? And so now you're not asking for time, you're offering clarity, right? And this is what I told the lady, right? I'm going back to that call. I said, hey, Mrs. Seller, right? Based on everything you're telling me, here's what I think I can help you with. I think I can help you get some clarity on a few things. I can walk your property. Because she's out of state. I can walk your property. I won't disturb your tenants. I'll be in and out. I can let you know what condition the property is in today because you probably haven't seen it in a while. I can give you feedback on what you got to do to prep the home. I can give you a more realistic pricing on the property. Right now, we're strictly going off of what the internet says. I can give you a realistic pricing strategy. I can give you a list of things that we got to do. And then I can also pair you up with a CPA or even with our financial strategist so we can go over all the different tax strategies and figure out a way to save you on taxes, right? And so when I said that, immediately she's like, well, when can you come by, right? So she's pushing me like, when can I come by and walk the property, right? Because the way I've built it up and the way I've displayed that value on the call, right? So the call could have went really different if I just was putting my salesperson's hat on, right? And just trying to hurry up and go for an appointment. But this ended up being like a 45-minute call, right? And we talked about a lot. We were laughing, getting to know her, all these different things. The lady likes to talk a lot, right? So she was doing most of the talking. But in the end, she's like, okay, great. Let me call my tenants. What days can you come out there? Can you give me a couple different days? She goes, I'll get back to you by this Friday. And then I'm going to try to get you in there either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week to walk the property. She goes, right? She goes, and then I go, okay, then talk to your CPA, right? I go, and then I can get you on the line with one of my financial tax strategists, right? And she's like, all right, great. So naturally the appointment came, right? Without really having to ask for it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. What stands out to you most about this last step, guys? And maybe how can you do this differently now going forward? Anybody? How about anybody who's talked to sellers, guys? Any of you guys that have talked to sellers or try to book appointments? Are you closing for the appointment in this way, or is there anything different that you see now that you're like, man, I maybe need to reposition how I'm closing for the appointment?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna implement more of this. I did get an appointment on a door knock, and it came up because our tax strategy with our partners that we have, and I kind of threw it out there because that floated up. I said, well, what's keeping you from selling? What's that look like? And he goes, oh, because the capital gains tax. Oh, okay. I said, well, if I had a way to do that, would you be interested in hearing more about it? And she goes, yeah, I would. I said, okay, great. And then so we set that appointment. We already talked to Adiocha, and then hopefully it turns into a listing. But I think more of this, because it could have gone sideways if I didn't do more of this, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move forward, guys. How are we doing on time? 12:38. Okay, so some advanced tips, guys. Just positioning, right? Like I told you before, don't give a precise price on the phone. You never want to give a precise price. If someone's really pressing you for like, well, what do you think the house could sell for? I would always give a range, and I would explain why it's a range, right? Because precise pricing without seeing the condition lowers your credibility, right? So if they're like, well, what do you think my home could sell for? Hey, you know what? When I come out there, I'm going to check it out. You always want to defer to, hey, when I come out there, I'm going to see it. I'll be able to have some time to put together some data. But let's say they keep asking you, well, do you have any idea, a ballpark? Well, hey, look at what I'm seeing right now on Zillow and on Redfin. Sometimes those could be completely accurate. And I'll blame Zillow. I'll say Zillow says, 1.2 million. Redfin says 900,000. So you see how those are completely different, right? This is why I got to come out there, check out your property, and actually do my own investigation. So this way I can give you accurate pricing, right? And say, so I don't know, your home could be worth more, you know? So I blame it on like, hey, there's nothing I can give you right now that's accurate because I haven't seen your property. And then once you do that, then they kind of understand. They're like, okay, that makes sense, right? Don't compete on commission on the phone. We talked about that, right? If they bring it up, hey, I'll explain exactly how we earn our fee when we meet, and I'll show you the strategies, right? Stay calm. Don't defend it, right? That's the thing is when you talk too much, when they're asking you those things, and it sounds like you're defending yourself, right? So sometimes you just got to like, hey, yeah, it's a great question. Hey, when we come out there, I'll show you exactly the different options we have for fees, and I'll show you the strategy, the different strategies that go with it, right? And then I just move on. So you got to stay calm and like, don't start defending like your commission, right? There's no reason to defend it. You don't want to enter into a battle that you don't want to fight, right? Controlling the call, right? So you are the guide. If they dominate the call with pricing questions too early, right? Then you're going to want to just remind them, hey, we're going to cover the value, but first I want to understand your goals so I don't mislead you, right? Leadership, right? You want to come off as a leader. A couple high impact questions that add immediate value is, hey, what does a successful sale look like for you? Right? These are higher level questions that add more impact and get them opening up. Hey, if the home doesn't sell in 30 days, what's your plan B? Hey, is there anything that makes you nervous about putting it on the market right now? Hey, are you making this move out of necessity, or are you just seeing like an opportunity to sell right now? All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious would you say you are about selling your home this year? So these are questions where they can't answer a yes or no. They're open-ended questions. So it gets them talking, right? It gets them talking and opening up. They're going to separate the professionals from amateurs, right? So if you close with confidence, right, if done correctly, the seller is going to feel understood, guided, educated, more aware that selling a home is complex, right? And then they're going to be clear that, hey, this agent is strategic. They're not just some sales guy. They're like a person that actually wants to bring a strategy to the table, right? That's how you're going to earn the appointment. It's not by you talking more, but it's about by you thinking better on these calls, right? Okay. Last part, I want to just go through a script, right? And this is specifically geared towards an incoming lead. It doesn't have to be Zillow, but it's incoming lead because we do get a lot of those incoming leads. So I want to now show you how you apply all the things we talked about into an actual script, right? And then maybe we could do a little bit of role play. So who wants to role play it with me? Shri, all right. Shri's the volunteer, the main volunteer, guys. Come on, come on. Where are we at? All right, Shri, you're just going to go through this script, right? Just freestyle it, right? But I just want to get you guys practicing. And then you're the agent.
Hey, Enrique, this is Shri with PRG Real Estate. I saw you requested information on Zillow about potentially selling your home or just exploring your options. I just wanted to connect and learn a little bit more about your situation so that I can give some useful information. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yeah. Now's a good time. Thanks for calling, Shri.
So great. That's great, actually. Before we talk about value or numbers, I would love to understand what has you considering selling right now.
Okay. We're really we're thinking about selling because I'm getting ready to retire at the end of the year. And so we have another home, out of state. And so we're thinking about selling this home and then moving to there. I do work remote, so
Okay.
I'm trying to plan a little early so I'm not rushing,
Mm-hmm.
because ideally we'd like to make the move sooner than later. And like I said, we already have a home to sell. It's just a matter of, can we get this home sold and get a good price and also make it kind of a smooth transition while I'm finishing out my job.
Oh, got it. If like I know now I understand like why you're planning to make the move just because of the retirement. Can we ask like is this a primary home or like some secondary or something like that?
Yeah, this is my primary home. So this is the home we live in. Yeah, here in San Jose. And then we have a second home in Arizona.
Oh, okay. So you're planning to eventually sell this and move this from somewhere else. This is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So are you looking to sell quickly or you're more focused on maximizing the price?
We'd really like to maximize the price because the equity we have here is definitely going to be, going towards our retirement also to kind of, fund us our retirement. And so, yeah, we're not greedy, obviously, but we'd like to get a good price. If we can get a good price for our home, then that would make the most sense.
Okay, good. That sounds good. I just want to check, like, have you spoken with any other agents yet, or you're just in the early information stages?
Honestly, you're like one of the first people we've spoken to. Yeah. So we went online. I bought my last home with an agent, on Zillow. And so, I know they usually connect us with local agents. So I went online and just kind of put my information. So I'm really kind of in the early stages of figuring things out.
Okay. And have you ever sold a home before? Do you know how this process works?
This would be the first time selling a home. So we've purchased a couple homes, but we haven't sold any. So we have a rental property, we have our second home in Arizona, and then we have this home that we live in. So we've only been on the buy side. We haven't been on the sell side necessarily.
Okay, got it. Based on what you're telling me, we are seeing, right now in the market, inventory wise, wherever you are, it's really tight. You know how it is. Bay Area is always like, because of the AI boom and everything. Still, we are seeing a lot of buyers entering the market here, and there are a lot of companies, who are asking return to office policy. So there is still a strong, buyer demand here. So it's still obviously seller's market. But again, coming to that, we have to strategize that, like right now the market is opening up and a lot of homes are hitting the market. It all comes to the condition of your property, right? So based on that, we can do the price structure, marketing and everything, and we can position your house and get the top. Sorry, I'm going more in.
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's fine. Remember, this is just a guide, right? So
Yeah.
you use the guide and then you put your own flavor on it, right?
Yeah. So based on that, we can get the top dollar in your neighborhood. Specifically, buyers are paying attention to the more of a condition of the property, like because all this techies doesn't have much time. If it's completely dated, it's gonna go for a top dollar because they just can move in. But if the condition is not up to the mark, based on that, we need to position ourselves.
Got it.
And have you seen the value of the house? I know that Zillow and Redfin, shows the range. I know it's most of the times it's true, but it again comes to the condition of the property. To
Yeah.
give you that exact range, I need to come and see the property and walk the property. Based on that, I can do some analysis, and I can position your price and how to strategize and whether we can fix few things to get the more money out of the property, like a fresh coat of paint and small things. If you don't mind me asking you, have you did any upgrades or anything recently?
Yeah. So we did a remodel probably about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, where we did a new kitchen, we did new floors, new paint. The paint probably still needs a little bit of touch up. Obviously has a little wear and tear, but like the windows are newer, the kitchen's newer. It's still in pretty good shape. Backyard is landscaped. Overall, like everything's pretty good. I probably need to replace my furnace. That's kind of a little bit older. It still works, but it's a little bit older. And then I definitely think probably some touch up on like some of the paint and stuff. But overall, I would say our house is pretty much in move-in shape.
Okay, based on what you said, then the condition of the property is really good. Fresh coat of paint is not a major thing. I think most of the houses like which are sold for the updated, like recently whatever the updated houses are sold, I think we might position ourselves like the same price range because of, as you said, the property is really good. So
on to this.
have you thought about the price, like how much if you were to list?
You know what? I looked around on Zillow, and then I've seen a couple houses in my neighborhood sell anywhere from like 1.5 to 1.8. You know, if I was hoping we can get like at least 1.7 for our property,
Mhm.
you know, just based off what I owe, and you know,
Mhm.
that would help me walk away with a certain amount. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what you think it could sell for, you know, and stuff like that.
No, that's really helpful. Uh, like one of the thing I found is most sellers underestimate how much prep and position influence the final price, right?
Mhm.
So based on what you said, you have did few upgrades.
Mhm.
When I walk, if I feel like there are few more upgrades which might add more value to your property, would you be open to doing that? And one more thing, what I would be suggesting is even pre-inspections, right? Like there are some few plumbing leaks or
Mhm.
like GFCI, small things, right?
Yeah.
So when we do those inspections, if we can fix those, they might get you a top dollar, right? Because there's not much on the inspections. Would you be, would you
Yeah,
be?
we're open to doing like some minor stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything major, but I know there's probably a few little minor things. So yeah, we're open to doing that if you think that's going to get us a better price.
That's great. That's great. Uh, are you planning to buy before or selling after this property?
No, we don't need to buy anything. Like I said, we already have that home in Arizona. So
Mhm.
once we sell this, we're packing up and we're gone.
Okay, okay, that's great. That's great. And I know a lot of times agents don't ask this, but have you ever thought of like about whatever the capital gains you're gonna, have you get a chance to talk to your CPA?
You know what? I haven't. I haven't really looked into the numbers, like what we're gonna have to pay for taxes. I know we get 500,000. I looked online to keep, but I think we are gonna. I know we're gonna have to pay some taxes for sure.
Mhm.
I just haven't had a chance to talk to my CPA yet about it, so that's something that I probably need to do as well.
Okay. Okay. Because why I asked was like even we do work with some financial planners.
Mhm.
If you want, it's just for an opinion, like a second opinion. If you're open to that, let me know. I can schedule an appointment for that as well.
Okay, yeah, that might be helpful. I mean, I want to gather as much information, so I think that'll be helpful.
Cool. Cool, Enrique. Like based on all the information what you gave me, the best next step would be for me to come by, take a look at home and put together a detailed pricing and marketing strategy specifically for your property because every property is different.
Okay.
On this visit, I'll show you like a customized price range based on the comparables, like which is very closer to your property based on the upgrades and conditions, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And what we would recommend doing and not doing before going to the market, those few small fixes.
Okay.
And also a timing strategy based on your goals
Okay.
and a net sheet estimates so you understand what you walk away with, like how much you owe to the bank, what will be the escrow charges, what will be the taxes,
Mhm.
and all these things.
Yeah.
And if we do end up doing some upgrades, like after cutting those, how much your walk away would be, so that it's going to be a clear estimate for you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely want to understand all of those things.
And it usually takes around 30 to 45 minutes, and it will give you a clarity whether you sell now or later. Would earlier this week or next week? How does it look?
Yeah, I think I'm free in the afternoon. So I'm busy this weekend, but in the afternoons, I'm usually off work by around 2. And so anytime after 2 during the week, my wife works from home also. So yeah, if you could stop by sometime next week after 2, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, that would probably work better.
Perfect. I think let's meet on Tuesday then. I'll send you a calendar invite, and I'll give you some information about our team and our previous reviews, everything before we meet you there,
Okay.
so that you get more idea about who you're going to work with.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Sounds good. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. This is good. I look forward to meeting you. Sounds like you've done this before, and you kind of know, you have all the information that we're going to want to see.
Yeah. Thank you for giving your time, and see you on Tuesday.
All right. End right there, guys. All right. Let's give it up for Shri, guys. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. I love it. I love it. How did that feel, Shri?
I would have done a little bit better. It's just that I don't know. A lot is going on my head, as you know.
Yeah.
Right now I have some other calls are coming.
Oh, yeah. Not good.
But I think I would have done a little more more better, little more like try to build a rapport. Like when they said like they're retiring, I was like, oh, that's great, you're retiring. Like, what do you do? And
Yeah.
it's like it's exciting that what are the next steps, what are the plans and everything. So I thought I would have digged in more there and build more rapport.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it was good, but I can do a little better.
Okay. No, I think you did a great job. Obviously, you put yourself on the spot, so I want to give you kudos for volunteering. And I know you're reading it, you're using this as a guide, but then you're also putting it in your own words, right? Guys on the call, give Shri some feedback. What was your feedback about that style, right? Using that framework, and also how Shri did. What'd you take away from that? Feel
I
free to
think you
unmute
did
yourself.
pretty good.
Thank
We're
you.
being thrown in right there. I think you did really good. That's
Thank
good.
you,
Pre. He molded himself to the actual conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else give Shri some feedback? John, talk to me.
He followed the outline really well, but he also made it his own. It didn't sound like he was just reading a script. He obviously he's been doing this a while, so he's internalized it and was able to, put his own spin on it and make it his own personality. So it sounds more natural versus, reading something down the line.
Yeah.
It makes him sound a
absolutely.
lot more confident, makes it sound like he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, he definitely put his own flair to it, right? He used it as a guide. And that's what you should do, guys, right? It's the whole point is just following the framework, right? The value, VALUE, validate, diagnose, right? Leverage your market insight, uncover any strategy gaps that you want to talk about or go over, and then establish the next step, right? Because what happens is it just naturally flowed into an appointment, right? By the time we were done having that conversation, me as the seller, potential seller, I'm like, well, man, this guy actually listens. He understands. He's actually giving me some good things to think about, right? He wasn't pushy, right? He was super calm, right? And then he had got me thinking like, oh, well, I should look into this, or I should look into that, right? And he had me feeling like, hey, this guy's going to be able to put together a strategy for me, right? It wasn't just a transaction, and that's really the goal, right? To give that sort of value on these calls. And then naturally they're going to want to meet with you, right? So when he went in for the appointment, to me, like, there was no reason at that point to say, no, I don't want to meet. All right. Like there wasn't anything that I think he would have done differently. Or anything that he did that gave me a reason to not at least want to meet with him and hear what his strategy was. All right. Okay, guys. So just to recap, I know we went over a lot, guys, right? These were like some objections, right? Can you tell me what my house is worth now? We already talked about why it's important to understand the condition, right? And how you can use like, hey, there's a big variance in certain neighborhoods, 5 to 10%, right? Which could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why we want to look at your property and give you an accurate assessment. But also what I want you guys to take away, right, to end this right here, is slow down your calls, right? I think that's a really important part of it, right? When you're talking to sellers, remember, slow and calm and collect is going to show leadership. It's going to show authority. It's going to build credibility. If you're talking fast, boom, 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 then you feel like a salesperson, right? And that's the whole thing, is you want to be a consultant, not just a salesperson. You want to ask more questions, right? So he was asking, letting me talk, and he was asking, letting me talk, right? David, what do you got?
So like you're saying more tonalities and verbal pauses.
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And just pausing, just ask the question and then let the question breathe, right? Like, hey, David, like the one you door knocked, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what's making you guys even want to think about selling at this point, right?
Yeah, correct.
And then just pause.
Yeah.
And then let them go on and on, right? Let them go on and on and on. And then you're starting to take notes of like why, motivation, timing, right? you're collecting the data and you're like writing them down in your mind, right? Okay,
Right.
so they're retiring. He retires at the end of the year. He wants to move to Arizona. He hasn't talked to a CPA yet, right? You're building all your ammunition so
Right.
that you can now use that to direct the call, right? To direct the to the next step, right?
You know, the pain points.
You could only do that when you slow down and when you ask questions and you let them talk and let the conversation open up, right? So you don't want to chase the appointment. You want to say, hey, the next step or the best next step that I would recommend. And even when you use words like that, hey, what I would recommend we do, right, is A, B, and C. All right. You never want to sound desperate for the listing. You want to make it sound like a logical next step. And you want to remember the seller needs to feel understood. They need to feel like you're a guide. They need to feel calm when they talk to you. They need to understand that there is complexity, right? And they need to feel confident that, hey, you've done this before. And they're going to feel confident because of the questions you ask them, right? That's how you're going to win that appointment from an incoming lead or referral, right? We said Zillow here, but remember, this can be replaced with a referral you got. Someone you met door knocking, someone you met at an open house, a lead you got from one of your own marketing, someone that DM'd you, right? Zillow is just a placeholder that can be replaced, right? It's the same strategy, right, of how you walk them through. Okay, we're coming up on time, guys. I know we went through a lot. And so what I encourage you guys to do is, if you really want to internalize this, is you got to go back and read this and figure out a way to make this your own, right? Because otherwise, like, we went through a lot of stuff and then like you go out into the real world and then you forgot about this and then you go back to default mode, which is whatever you've already been doing, right? And so remember, if you want to make a change, then you're going to have to actually take the time to now implement, right? And so I'll send you guys the notes here. I'll put it in Slack. You guys will have the notes. This video is going to be recorded. But if you're making calls to sellers, I would have these notes out, right? Or maybe take the notes and write your own short version of it. Or maybe just remember the acronym, right? Like the value, validate, build rapport, ask, diagnose, right? Whatever's going to be easier for you to understand. Leverage your market insight, uncover gaps, and then establish the next best step, right? So that you guys can go out there and talk to more sellers and book more appointments. Any final questions, guys, before we wrap up? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Hope you got some value today. Let me know if you need something. We'll see you soon.